Hey guys, Shoe Shack Redemption
I know, super
here.
hyped. They said it was like
It's
an
been a
early version of
while.
the game, so super excited to see where it goes. But so far, so good.
Anything else you want to talk about 2K related?
I'm super excited for the new game. I
Alright,
love the
and I've been
covers.
getting some
I love
questions
that like deeply
lately
custom
if
shoe.
I'm
Like
doing
it kind of
anything
like the
new
focal point in
on
it. It says be legendary,
2K22.
and I think he's a legend. Just signed
I
like a
think last
jersey
time I made a
extension.
video was
I love
almost
like
a
the
year
women's
ago,
cover. Love the
and
Michael
that was
Jordan
on
cover. We might
2K21.
see some circulate in the new game.
Honestly, when I got
Super
2K22, I
excited for
played
that
some
angle, and yeah, like
and
shout out
then
to the whole
didn't
2K
really
family, and
like the
thank you for always
gameplay
having
and
me be a
haven't
part.
really touched it much since. So, had some time here recently and thought I'd give it another chance. I haven't been doing any historic rosters, which I know was the big hit last year with the early 90s to mid 90s rosters that I was uploading, or the shared scenarios. So at this point, I'm probably not going to do any more historic things, at least not for 2K22, mostly just because it's so time consuming. And really, it just takes a lot to create all the players, and that and the historic players on the game don't have very good tendencies, so it takes a lot of time to do that. So as cool as it was, I'm not ready to invest that amount of time, but I still wanted to do something cool from a roster standpoint. So what I did and what I want to show is a new scenario that I just uploaded, and it's based on draft pick position. So what I did was I took like all the number one picks from current players, so I didn't touch the historic players again, mostly because of tendency reasons, and it would have been a lot more work. All today's number one picks are on one team, number two, number three, number four, and so on. So I just want to show what I've done, and to do that, I'll first show kind of how to get to it. So I didn't upload a roster yet, but I probably can. But if you want to start with everything kind of set up, you can go to Share Scenarios, create a new one, and then there I am at the top, but that won't be forever. I'm surprised still in 2K22 they don't have the number of downloads shown. That was a weird thing in 2K21, and I guess it continues with this one. But easiest probably to search by my online ID, it's yippee so if you just put like Yippee, spelled with two P's and two E's, you'll find me. It's called Teams by Draft Picks, current, so again, only looking at current players, or at least players that are in the normal draft pool. I actually did a fantasy draft to kind of place them where they need to be. Might have been faster if I just traded everybody manually in a roster beforehand, but whatever, I decided to do it through fantasy draft. So I'm going to load that, and it'll take me in. So what I've spent time doing, other than getting people on the teams where they belong, based on draft pick, I did adjust numbers, made it make sense to our players are not crazy numbers that they've never been before. I mean, there's a limit there, right? Because I use the regular teams, therefore there are retired jersey numbers where players can't be their number. But anyway, did the best I could with that. And then, what else did I do? I did rotations. So some of the teams it's super hard where there's like a lot of star power, like the number one team. But I tried to make it somewhat realistic. Like if these players are really on a team together, what would the playing time look like? So I did that. And so I guess I'll start by showing the rosters. That's probably the coolest thing. So let's go in. Team 1 is not a good one to start with. So Drew Holiday is the star player, and then everybody else kind of mediocre. But this is the team 17th pick. So all the 17th picks that are on the game and active players are on here. What I did to fill teams where there weren't enough of that pick, I then went to the second round of that pick. So I don't know how many are on this. So Drew's 17th, Schroeder 17th, Poku 17th, Dante, everybody's first round. There's one. So Paul Millsap, second rounder. All right, so there weren't enough first rounders to fill the team, so I went ahead and moved on to the second round. And then if there were any open spots after that, like if there weren't first or second rounders, I did use some of the undrafted players. So Royce, I think is the only one on this team. So undrafted players that are good enough to be on teams, kind of use them as fillers. So that was the methodology I used, and you can see here the full wonderful team of the 19th pick. So I'm kind of curious. I have not simulated anything. I've not played any games, so I'm really curious how these teams actually come out, like stats wise. Like, is Drew Holiday going to average like 30 points on this team? I don't know. I've not really looked at tendencies either to know if he could even do that. So let me just go through the teams, and maybe you can guess before I even say so what pick this is. So this one's a pretty cool one if you just look at the top two. But the 15th pick, both Giannis and Kawhi, just a few years apart. And then we've got, I guess I can just stay in here and you can see. So there's a couple second rounders, and Dillon and Powell and Diallo and Dragic. So a lot of second rounders actually on this team. Kind of surprising, I guess. Cole Anthony, Dubois. So this team actually did not require any undrafted players. They had enough 15th, either first or second rounders, to fill a team. When I know I said I already did the rotations, I also adjusted positions where I thought it would help the team. So if somebody's going to be needing to start at point guard, then okay, I made them a point guard versus... There are some weird secondary positions on here. I'm sure people have already noticed that, but when we get to Gary Payton Jr., I believe he was a shooting guard center. And whatever team I put him on, he needs to start at point guard. So I think I ended up doing shooting guard, point guard. But there were a few weird things like that. I know that there are some teams where people play crazy positions, like Jayshawn Tate at 6'4" was like a starting power forward for the Rockets. I don't think he would do that on any other team, but I made adjustments where I thought it made sense. So I'm curious to see how far this team gets, because they're pretty solid since they have 2 stars. We got the Bulls. This is actually surprising because this is the 30th pick. So it's a mix of the end of the first round and then anybody that was the very last pick in the draft is on here too, which, are there any of those? No, I don't remember. Oh, so I included Verjao because when he was drafted, first of all, I was surprised he was still an active player in this roster. But when he was drafted, there were only 29 teams. So technically... he was the 30th pick, so I put him on this team. That, and I knew he had no chance of making it on the first pick team as the second round, because there are plenty of those active on the game. There we go. Isaiah Thomas. Decent player there, 76 overall as the Mr. Irrelevant of the draft in 2011. So, a bunch of 30th overall picks here. Were there any undrafted that I added? Were there enough 30th? There really were. Oh, there we go. Kenrich Williams was undrafted, so I did have to do a filler there. Here's the big one. All number 1 picks. I think there was somebody I had to leave out, if I recall. Fultz was the last one I added. Let me see. I have a spreadsheet that helped me kind of figure out what I needed to do. No, I ended up including all the number 1 picks. I was torn on whether I should prioritize first picks of the second round who are better than some of these guys. So like Bojan Bogdanovic was the first pick of the second round, 2011. He's like 81 or 80 something overall. So now he's like the top free agent in this roster. But I decided to prioritize that they were truly the first pick, so I kept Fultz and Griffin and Howard over Bogey. So that's probably the top of the free agent list are mostly first picks of the second round over the last several years. Yep. So all of these are first picks. Pretty interesting to try to do the rotation. I'm sure there could be lots of arguments on what I ended up doing and who I ended up starting, but it's like, I think what I did, definitely worth arguing about. I made Ben Simmons a power forward shooting guard, which is funny because he can't shoot. But from an overall standpoint, I made him start with these top 4: Towns, Davis, LeBron, and Kyrie. And then I thought, okay, who's the next best player that could actually start with him? I don't think Zion's playing small forward. I guess he could. Ayton's definitely not starting with Towns and Davis. So I got to Simmons and thought, okay, he could start, but who knows? All right, to move a little faster here. Celtics, 21st pick. This team's pretty awful. I think when I looked the salaries, the Cavs have the highest salary. It's like $300 and some million, and this team has like $46 million. So this is the lowest salary team of all of them. It's mostly all 21st, and then Felicio ended up making it as an undrafted. So most teams only had one undrafted that I added. When we got to the end of the draft, like the mid to late 20s, I had to add several undrafted players, but at least that got some of the other players into the league, into the mix. This is kind of where having the second round really helped a team, because this is the 11th pick, and Jokic was the 11th pick of the second round, so he instantly becomes their best player. This was another rotation where it was kind of hard because, well, living in Indiana, I know all about how Turner and Sabonis can play together or not play together, but Jokic obviously has to start, so I think I ended up making Turner a backup since Sabonis was an all-star, so Jokic Sabonis can play together. And you can see some of these teams were pretty heavy on certain positions. Like this team, okay, Shea's their point guard. Who's their backup point guard? I guess Malik Monk is playing those minutes. But there are teams where it was very, very difficult, and some of the people lower down had to end up maybe not starting, but at least playing some pretty hefty minutes in order to be able to meet the position requirements on the court. Grizz were the 24th pick. Not looking so great overall. This was one I think Mamukhalishvili has to play because they have no big people. They have Ibaka starting. I have him playing way more minutes than he can anymore or should. But then Sandro had to play a lot because otherwise they barely even have anybody that can play power forward. Torrey Craig, I think I made Luwawu be able to play power forward. I think he's a small forward shooting guard on the game. But I thought, okay, well, he's 6'7". Today's game, he probably could play power forward for some team. The Hawks are the 19th pick, so a lot of forwards here at the top of the list. Collins, Harrison, Bay. Again, you get down here. Jeff Teague used to be really good. He was an all-star at some point, but I think he's their starting point guard on this team. And Avery Bradley, I think, if I recall correctly, is their backup point guard because they don't really have another one. So some of the older guys on the team getting some heavy minutes. The Heat are the 14th pick. I like seeing a mix of kind of the younger and older guys too. Like, I don't know, TJ Warren's still good at 28, but then they got Moses Moody here as a rookie. I was happy to add Bol Bol. I'm kind of a Bol Bol fan. I hope he does well with Magic. I'm glad he made the team here as a second rounder. Hornets are a pretty good team. This is pick number 9. So you got DeRozan, Middleton, Drummond, Hayward, Grant. I had to make the tough call between who would start between Hayward and Grant. I think I chose Hayward. Today's game, I guess it would probably be Grant just because he's been better more recently. But Kemba's their starting point guard. They got some cool young guys too with Davion and Rui and Denny. The Jazz, 23rd pick. This team's not so good. They got OG and Baisley and Caruso, and then it's kind of sad. They were another team where it's like getting enough big people minutes of like actual playing time. Like Baines, yeah, he can play, but the most he played was 22. And then you've got Garuba, who didn't play much this year. Bassi didn't play much this year. Or, sorry, I say this year, I mean last year. I guess the season's over. That team's probably not going to be very good. The Kings, on the other hand, pretty good, although they're very heavy in the point guard position. So this is the 5th pick. So I think I have Young and Garland starting together, and then Fox as the backup for kind of both of them. They got Draymond and Love and Jonas, some good vets on the team. Pretty cool. The Knicks, not a great one. This is actually the 8th pick. This is one of those that's kind of surprising. I was curious to see, like, are there picks that are just like notoriously bad? It seems like the 8th pick is one of those. I mean, the jury's kind of out so far on how good Obi will be or Io. Franz had a great rookie year, but otherwise, 8th pick not looking so great. The Lakers, so this is where the undrafted player really, the Lakers got the reward because at the 28th pick, they were the first team to run out of, when I was doing the fantasy draft, they were the first team to run out of people able to pick, either first round or second round of the 28th pick. So I went ahead and gave them the best undrafted player there was, which was Van Vliet, and I'm guessing he'll succeed in this on this team, and this team will be quite awful. Van Vliet and Poole are kind of a neat backcourt, but otherwise, this team's pretty bad. Not looking very promising for these guys. And then I decided to go with the oldest undrafted player on the game too, Mr. Haslam. The Magic are the 16th pick. You can see here, Vooch and Nurk are their best, I guess. Since Vooch could already play power forward, I think I made them start together on this team. I suppose they probably would. But they have a lot of, I think they had a lot of big guys to try to make the minutes work with Stewart and Şengün down here. I think these are their starters. These top 5, I tried to make it kind of based on overall, but if people were used to coming off the bench, I may have put some other guys ahead of them. Mavs are not very good. This is the 20th pick. LeVert, Precious. This, if I'm thinking of like what teams will be the worst, like this one looks pretty bad. The 22nd pick here, Jarrett Allen leading the way. Here's Gary Payton. So I think, yeah, this team had a lot of big guys. So Payton, it takes a while to get to anybody that can even play guard. I'm pretty sure on the game, Kenyon Martin Jr., it said power forward center. He's 6'5". I guess, again, he's a Rocket, so they do crazy things. But I made him, I think he's now their starting small forward. Yeah, they just don't have guards. I ended up giving them Wanamaker and Galloway as undrafted players just to get them some guards since they needed more people. This is a good one. The 3rd pick. It was kind of hard to figure out who would start for them, though, as well. You obviously need to start, I would say, these top 4. Tatum playing some power forward. But then between Beal and Brown, I was kind of torn. I think I ended up going with Beal, mostly just because he's won better and has been better for longer amount of time. So, pretty cool starting lineup there, and position-wise it works, which is more neat. Their backups are pretty cool, too. You got Ball, Brown, and Barrett, Mobley, Horford. You got some cool guys down here with Carmelo. Brunson made it as a second-rounder here. I think he's the only second-rounder on here. Yeah. So, glad to get an 81 overall player on there. Pacers, this is the 10th pick. So, PG finds himself back in a Pacers uniform. You got McCollum and Bridges, Brook, Jalen Smith. This was one. I think I made Winslow start at power forward just because Jalen, I guess from an overall standpoint, Jalen probably could, but I don't know. If you download it, you can do what you want. Joe Johnson, it's cool that he was still on the game. Nice 2001 pick, number 10. Pelicans, the 4th pick. Pretty cool team as well. Paul, KP, Jaren, Barnes, Conley. You got Westbrook down here. I keep forgetting he's on this team just because in previous games I'm so used to him being not a 77 overall. But I guess that's what you get when you can't shoot very well. So this is a pretty neat team. Fernando, I think, was, second rounder. Pistons, 12th pick. Nice young core here. Halliburton, Bridges, who sounds like he might be going to jail. I don't know. Not sure. Not sure about that team. This is one, like, for the 27th pick, you look at the top of the list, that's pretty good. Gobert, Siakam, and Kuzma. You got Robert Williams as well. Bogdan is there. This was one, there's not a point guard on the screen, so this was one where I'm pretty sure Garrett Temple is starting. I gave them him just because he has played point guard in the past. I think that Bone actually is a 27th in the second round. So from point guard standpoint, they would have to play it unless Cam Thomas maybe can. Maybe let Siakam run the point. I don't know. I guess anybody could initiate things. Rockets, 25th pick. Got Clint Capella up there as the only 80. Not looking so good for this team. Spurs, this is the 29th. It's kind of funny. I mean, I obviously made it the Spurs because I tried to give whoever the best player was at that pick, then I tried to prioritize that team. The Spurs just so happen to have 3 of them between Murray, Johnson, and White. They were all 29th picks in 17, 19, and 16. So that's kind of neat. You got Christian Wood here as undrafted because, again, the Spurs, the 29th pick ran out of people that I could put on the team, so they were prioritized. And actually, so is he better than Van Vliet? 84. Was Van Vliet? 83. Okay, so I lied. It was actually the Rockets who ran out of, or the Spurs who ran out of eligible people first. So they got the best undrafted, which was Wood. So they got a few others down here like Wes Matthews. The Suns, this is the 13th pick. 4 shooting guards leading the way. I think I ended up starting all 3 of these. Just Mitchell's the point guard because really there's nobody else here either that plays point guard. And then Levine, I think, at small forward is what I did. And then Hero can be the super backup. Big guys, they're kind of lacking here. Olynyk could start, I suppose. And I don't remember who I put at power forward. I guess it was probably Markieff. Or maybe it was even Ariza. I don't know what I did. It's been at least 24 hours since I did that. Here's number 2. Durant and Morant up at the top. That's a pretty cool duo. You got Ingram there with Lonzo as well. Jalen Green. Pretty cool collection of players. You got Javon as a second rounder. Here's the worst first rounder that's on the game. Kind of forget that he was a second pick. Kind of crazy. T-Wolves are the 26th. This is a pretty bad looking team as well, and not in a good way. This one I could see at the bottom of the standings. Blazers are the 6th. So you got Lillard and Brogdon and Smart and Giddey. This one was kind of hard to figure out who would play too. Mitchell Robinson and Bamba, very lanky centers. That's dangerous from... They might lead the league in blocks, I don't know. Because they have Isaac too, who blocks a lot of shots. Warriors, 7th pick. You got Steph and Jamal as a cool backcourt. Maybe the next Splash brother. I don't know. Carter and Randall, Barnes, Lowry and Kuminga as some backups. Not a bad-looking team there. And then finally, another not-so-great one, the 18th. When JaVale McGee is your top-rated player, as big a fan as JaVale McGee as I am, he should not be your best player. And then you got the Mans, which second-rounder and a first-rounder. Bledsoe, Walker, Goga. I was surprised when I found Marc Gasol in the list. Like, okay, well, he's a second-rounder. He's a great player in the past, so let's get him on the team. I think I gave him some minutes, too. So there you go. That's the breakdown of the rosters. Just to do like a quick... Let me show you probably the most... conflicted one for me was the minutes for the number one team here. Not only who would start, I don't really like seeing Ben Simmons at shooting guard, but also minutes. Like, would the star players play less because they're all on the same team? Probably. You think about an all-star team, they even things out more. But then I also thought, well, Edwards and Cunningham would also play. Okay, Howard and Griffin and Fultz, they don't need to. But I would think Edwards and Cunningham would get minutes. But who are you taking from? I guess Wall just spent 2 seasons not playing, so maybe it could be him. Rose could play less. I don't know. There's no like right way to do it, I guess. So that's what I ended up doing. So now I'm curious what to do. Maybe I just simulate through at least to the All-Star break and see how these teams play. Before I do that, I'm going to turn injuries off. If I remember where that is. General. You can tell I've not played this in a while. There's injuries. Off. So that way I don't have the things pop up every time somebody gets hurt and I need to redo rotations. So it'll just be based on the rotations I have set for people. So we'll stay on the Cavs because I'm imagining they're going to be one of the top since they're the first pick. So let's just go here. Let's see what happens. Well, they finally lost. The Blazers were what? That was the 6th. The Pistons, I don't remember which pick that was, but I don't remember them being great. The Jazz, I think, were terrible. They lost to the Jazz. The Bucks had Giannis and Kawhi. The Raptors were that Siakam-Gobert team. So they're losing some random ones. They just won 107-58. Was that the biggest one? 161-103 to the Bucks. Holy moly. Do you wish to stop? Let's say no. And say no. Lost to the Pacers. Alright. So, where can I see... What happened to the little record in the bottom right corner? Wasn't that on the last game? There they showed the record of the team you were on? Or am I making that up? So I guess I need to go to standings. 51-8. They've already guaranteed a play-in at the All-Star break. That's pretty funny. So the Bucks are there as that was the 15th. How do I... There we go. Yeah. Giannis and Kawhi. So really nobody pulling ahead other than the number one team, at least in the East. The worst is the Knicks, and that I think we knew was going to happen because, yeah, that was the 8th pick that was very underwhelming. And then on the West side, wow, the Nuggets have only lost 3 games, so that was the number 3 pick that did have a better collection, like the top players could all be starters at their position, more or less. I know Luka could play 3 different positions, but that's pretty awesome. 42 for this. That was the number 6 pick. The Clippers, what team were they? Okay, that was the ones that lucked into Jokic as the 11th pick. Who's the worst down here? The Wolves. Yeah, that was bad. That's the 26th. That's not a good looking squad there. Alright. Okay, let's look at some stats real quick. Or maybe first All-Stars, which is here. All-Star teams. Jokic, Curry, Durant, Kawhi, Kyrie. So, relatively okay All-Stars. You got Christian Wood down there. Maxey. I don't hate this. That works. And then let's go to races. Alright, here's our first look at some stats. Got 2 Nuggets in the running. LeBron's dropped off a little bit from his scoring, still getting decent rebounds and assists, shooting really well. Luka's not scoring as much, but you saw the people on his team. I kind of expected he'd get more assists, but maybe that's because Harden's also getting 8. Jokic isn't scoring as much, but that had Klay Thompson and Sabonis. Giannis has Kawhi to share with, so some of this makes sense. Rookie of the Year, this is going to be interesting because not all of them are, like, Cunningham's not in the rotation. Yeah, so you got Trey Mann, 18th pick, 16 points a game. There you go, Trey. Scotty Barnes still in the running. He's starting for that team. Bones, I'm surprised they don't have it just as Bones Highland here. 13, because that was, I think, the worst record team, if I remember correctly. Giddey's doing pretty well. 6th man. Alright, the Kings have 2, Fox and Love. Wow, Fox is getting 18 points, and he was with Trae Young and Garland as a backup. Okay. Brogdon ended up evidently making a backup. I don't remember who he was backing up. And then you got Zion for that number 1 team. 67%. Holy moly. They don't have him shooting any threes. How do you shoot 34 threes in 61 games, but then 0 in 59? That's 2K tendencies, I guess. Defensive player, there's Isaac. Thibault, PG, so they have Giannis and Kawhi in here. PG's averaging pretty much, he's shooting better than he ever has in his life, but looking pretty good. Most improved, Precious getting 15 and almost a double-double. Maxey's balling for the Celtics. I mean, he averaged quite a few points this year for the Sixers, I think. Maybe not 21, but Collins, quick. Why is Collins in there? Because he's getting 3 more rebounds? Huh. I've never really liked whatever formula they use for most improved on 2K. Like that. Okay, Garland, pretty much same points, less assists. Okay, he's not turning it over as much. He's shooting better, not from threes, playing less. Like that is not someone who belongs in a most improved category. Alright, is there anything? I guess I can just look at some team stats. Here we go, the Cavs. Kyrie leading the team in points. Huh. It looks like K did find his way into a game at some point. Maybe somebody fouled out. I know on this game there's the new, whatever it's called, scenario-based subbing or whatever it is, where you can take all your good people out if you're blowing the team out. I haven't really done much of that, but that would be a way to get these guys some more playing time. LeBron doesn't need to play the end of the games when they're up by 60 or whatever that one game was. Here's Maxey. Whew. That's rough. Thanasis averaging 8 points a game. Joker leading with... Oh, I forgot about Shea. I said Sabonis and Klay. I didn't even say Shea. That's a pretty deadly quartet of scoring. And then you got Monk off the bench. Turner getting 10 off the bench. I think Cam's starting at small forward, so That's a cool team. Grizz, nobody really taking charge here. Lowry, I don't think you're making a deep run this year again. Hawks, Collins and Harris. Beasley's up there. Teague starting at point guard, only getting 4 assists per 36. That's way low compared to what he usually gets. So I don't know if that's because of this awful team he's on and they're not scoring, or it's his tendency. Heat, you got Bam getting about what he's used to, getting some more rebounds. MPJ. Hornets, DeMar getting 21. Not quite what he did this year with Chicago. Grant. Okay, so did I end up benching him? Yes. And he's still second leading scorer, so I obviously gave him enough minutes to be doing some good stuff. Only 21 and a half. So if he was playing what Hayward's playing, what would he be averaging? Wow. What's his per 30? He's averaging 30 points per 36. Jeremy Grant would like the ball on a team with Middleton, DeRozan, Kemba, and Hayward. It's interesting. I guess some of it may depend on like the team's playbook and their style. I didn't think about that, but maybe the Hornets really cater to whatever Jeremy Grant does. The Jazz, this was one of the worst overall teams, if I recall. OG getting 19. Nice. Like that. Where's he? That's more of a most improved than some of those guys we were seeing. You would think some of these guys have really improved their game based on the fact that they're decent people on terrible teams. Trae Young is averaging 30 points a game. Wow. Garland, Fox, Love. Is Draymond leading the team in assists? Nope. Not quite outdoing Trae, barely outdoing Garland. Knicks, oh my gosh, their scoring is horrendous. They have 3 people in double figures. But they also have 7, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people over 8, which I guess is decent, but Knicks are struggling. I would think Sexton would score a lot more. Sexton and Dinwiddie, really. Dinwiddie would probably be back to his 20 points a game in this team. Lakers, Fred only getting 20. Thought he'd get more on this one. Lakers and Knicks, 2 of the lowest scoring teams, looks like. Magic, Jordan Clarkson as I think I have him as the 6th man on this one. Pretty decent scoring. I don't know, that team's not very good either. Mavs, Karis LeVert, balling out. Precious was in that most improved, or was he leading it? I think he was leading it. And he should. I mean, look at that. That's crazy. Nets, Jarrett Allen, 15-9. Bobby Portis. Gary Payton getting his starting opportunity. Here we go. The 3rd pick. Luka. Beal. So everybody takes a drop in scoring because they have to share the ball. But everybody's still scoring. I mean, it's pretty even. You got 6 people between 15 and 20. I don't know that I've ever seen that on a game. And I'm guessing it's not happened in real life. Everybody's shooting crazy good, too. Only one guy under 50, and that's Tatum, barely. LaMelo's there. That's a cool team. Oh, shoot. Oh. Sorry. I sometimes use L2 and R2 to switch teams. Sometimes I use the right analog. It's probably better to use the right analog. That way it doesn't reset. Pacers, PG, and McCollum, and that's it. That's about what I would have guessed. I don't know. Maybe I would have thought McCall would be scoring more. And maybe Brook Lopez would get back to scoring. Pelicans, Westbrook. That's not what I expected. I would have expected Porzingis. I don't know, I thought Barnes maybe would have scored more. I don't know what his tendencies are on this game. I really haven't played with... I'm trying to think of who I even played with when I did play. Haven't done much. Pistons. I thought Miles would be scoring a lot on this team. We got Halliburton and PJ doing it. And wasn't that was a team that beat the Cavs one of their 8 times. Surprising. Raptors, Siakam, over 20. Cam, look at that. I don't think he's starting. 20, no, he's not, right? No. Wow, 16 points. Was he in the 6-man running? He should be. There's their starting point guard right there, getting 1 assist a game. That's got to be a record if that ends up happening. Did he ever get assists even when he did play point guard? I'm assuming that was when he was getting like 5 or 4 per 36. Huh. Alright, Rockets. Quickly and Capella up there. Patty Mills. Not great. Spurs. Christian Wood, who was an all-star, right? They got 6 people in double figures. Seth Curry and Nunn there. Joe Ingles getting 5 assists a game. Here's the Suns. All 3 between 20 and 22. Well, that's cool. I don't know what order they would go in. I don't know how they would share the ball, but you got Hero down there with 10 as well. Thunder, Durant, Morant, Ingram, D'Lo, and Lonzo. That's a cool looking team. Wolves. That's just bad. They were the lowest, right? Yeah, I can see why. Landry Shamet, who's never scored more than 9 points a game in his career, is getting 15 and a half. Because he has to. I mean, look at this team. Who do you expect to score? Blazers. Wow, Lillard 30 points a game. Which, I mean, on this team, I don't know. Hield and Brogdon, they're still getting points. Gallinari's still getting 11 in 24 minutes. Where are the blocks? 1.5 for Robinson, only 1 for Bamba. Isaac's getting 2, though. That's a neat team. Warriors, Curry. So were those the top 2 scorers, Lillard and Curry? I don't remember anybody being higher than those. Then this team. Trey Mann. Soon to be Rookie of the Year, I think. Alright, so if I go to League Leaders. And of course I didn't. League Leaders. Oh, I forgot about Trey. Yeah, 30. There you go. The top 10. And the only team with 2 people in the top 10 are the Pacers. The 10th pick, McCollum and George. Rebounds, Capella. Clippers have 2 guys in there, Jokic and Sabonis. Assists, you got oh my gosh, that says Sabonis. Huh. I mean, maybe they're doing a lot of high-low action. Jokic to Sabonis, Sabonis to Jokic. You got LeBron and Simmons up here. You got Harden and Doncic up here. So in the top 10, oh, and Morant and Ball. So there are 4 teams with 2 people in the top 10. That's kind of weird. Steals, DeJounte, PG. There's Payton, Gobert. Shooting the most is Lillard. Shooting the best, Mitchell Robinson shooting 76%. Whew. Williamson and Simmons doing their layups and dunks. 11 threes a game. Doncic, 47%. What's the best he's ever done? 35? I wouldn't imagine he was much better than that this year. Why is he shooting 47%? Because they're double teaming Embiid and Tatum and Harden, and I guess maybe he's getting more open looks. I don't know. Free throws. Payton Pritchard is almost perfect. You can see I didn't put anybody crazy minutes. I don't know that. I think 34 was the highest I went with anybody, so at least they're sticking to that. Fouling out. Scotty Barnes likes to foul, evidently. I don't know if that was a problem for him this year or if that's just something on the game. Alright, I'm going to stop there because I don't want to ruin it. I want you guys to simulate it yourself. Hopefully you can find the file alright. Simulate through and then maybe tell me who won the title. I think based on this, it seems like it's going to get down to the Cavs and Nuggets, the first and third picks here. Who was the second team? The Thunder, right? Yeah. So maybe they'll make a run for it, but they got some catching up to do. So have some fun with it. Let me know if there's anything else you want to see. Again, I'm probably not going to spend much time creating players. I could do something like this with historic players on the game. Again, tendencies are kind of screwed up usually. I also thought about doing some based on like where people went to college, like make some, well, I'd probably have to make multiple teams of like Duke players or Kentucky players, but group people that way. I could use historic or not with that. And then, what was the other thing I was thinking about? No, I can't. Oh, I could do draft classes, like people within their draft class. I don't know. Well, a lot of things I could do, but I'm curious what people want to see. I don't mind spending some time on it as long as it's not taking forever. But have fun with it. Good to talk to all you guys. Sorry it took so long to get back to some of you, but hopefully you can enjoy this. Until next time, Shoe Shack Redemption is out of here.